Hello, this is Jack from Teaching ESL Online, and today I have an interview with Gabby Wallace from Go Natural English and also Laptop Language Teacher. Gabby, welcome to Teaching ESL Online.
Hi, Jack. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, just to get started, I want to let everybody know that we are actually, connected in a mastermind group.
hmm
And I would like to just ask you, what that entails and just tell people a little bit about what we do with that.
Yeah, well, I absolutely love our masterminds. And a mastermind is just a group of people who get together with a focus on one particular topic. So for us, it is actually teaching ESL online, just like the name of your business. We have a group of people who are working towards similar goals, but with different businesses. We all have our own thing going on, kind of in the same field, but we believe in collaboration, not competition. And so it's really beautiful. We get together on a weekly basis, and we kind of do it in cycles and just help each other out. When we have challenges or questions or just want to help each other, we do that, and it's just been amazing. I think for me, it's been really motivating. It's held me accountable too, because I always think, like actually right now we're about 24 hours away from our next mastermind meeting. I'm thinking, oh boy, I have to get some things done so I can tell Jack that I've been productive this week. But yeah, it's just a mastermind can work really for anything from like learning a language to working on your business to, maybe travel. Like you might have a mastermind like, oh, I want to go to Brazil. My friends want to go to Brazil. Let's do a mastermind to figure out like where we want to go or what the best places to stay are. I mean, really, you could do it for anything, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I actually have two mastermind groups. I have one in the local area as well, which, helps me stay connected with the community, and I work with other business owners here. But yeah, getting very specific with it helps as well because we can bounce ideas off each other and just generally just be there for each other and give each other support. And I've really enjoyed being part of that group. I've
Yeah.
talked about it before on my blog, and in the future I'm going to write about it as well because I think it's such a beneficial thing for people to do, especially when first starting out.
I agree. And I would say that the key is you have to have something in common. It could be really anything, but like you said, it's focused, right? So have something in common. I mean, you could have really, gosh, anything. But I'm just thinking if you don't have at least one thing in common, you're just kind of hanging out. Then the mastermind is always something with a goal or kind of a purpose, even if you don't know exactly what that is. You have something in common, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and some kind of goal to work towards too. Well, I want you to introduce yourself a little bit and talk about your background prior to moving online, and then talk about how you did actually move online with your teaching.
Sure, absolutely. So I have been teaching language for over 10 years. Like I started in the classroom young. I just sort of naturally, go natural English. I naturally just ended up in the classroom from a young age and started teaching Spanish actually first, and then I taught English for a little while, and then I went to Spanish, and then I came back around to English, which is my native language. And so I've taught in a lot of different diverse settings with different age groups in the classroom. And I started teaching more adults, corporate training, universities. And then about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I just started feeling like there has to be more, there has to be something different. At that time, I also picked up a copy of The 4 Hour Work Week, which
Hmm.
has been a really influential book in a lot of people's lives. So I was reading that. I was reading other similar kind of, what would you call it, like productivity or online business or
Like,
marketing or,
like
yeah.
online entrepreneurial books.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And started tapping into that culture, which I had never been really aware of until about 4 or 5 years ago. And then I started thinking, well, how could I do something like that, which would give me more freedom, but also help more people. I mean, it's not entirely selfish, right? It's like, well, I could get online and compared with my classroom, maybe in my classroom I have a group of 20 students, maybe, but online I could reach. It's indefinite, right? I mean, it's infinite, right? However many people use the internet. And so I just thought, okay, I'm going to start making short videos that answer my classroom students' questions. Also because they kept asking me the same questions over and over, and I'm sure every teacher out there has had a similar experience. If you've ever heard the same question more than once, you know what it's like. Oh, do I have to answer this again? I mean, maybe other people are more patient than I am, but I started thinking, oh my goodness, this is the 10th time I've gotten this question today. I need to do something about it. And I would joke, oh, I should just make a recording and press, play to answer. But I thought, wait, maybe I should make a recording and put it up on YouTube. So I started a few years ago just putting answers to my own students' questions up on YouTube, and it was really experimental. I had no idea what to expect. I did not have a business plan. I didn't expect anyone to watch. I just told my students about it. I said, look, I think you could benefit from these videos that I'm putting on YouTube, and I would just email them out to my students and say, hey, here's some extra practice. And then over a few weeks, over a few months, I saw, hey, there's a few hundred views on my videos. That's exciting. There's people who I don't even know watching my videos. And then I started getting comments, and they were positive. And I thought, well, gosh, maybe I should continue with this. And so the first year, I think I posted maybe 10 videos, and then the second year, 20, and the third year, 30. And now I'm in, I guess, the fourth year or fifth year being on YouTube, and I'm really, trying to pump those videos out more and more, like 3+ times a week. And, we can talk about that strategy more too, but that's basically how I got started, just back from the classroom, and then started posting videos online.
Cool. So basically, you took the questions that you were getting in the classroom and decided to make an answer, put it out to everyone, and I guess this was like the homework for your students as well. Or new students came in and you knew they were going to have similar questions, similar struggles, and you could say, "Here's a video for that." This is something that you can watch outside, and and naturally that attracts other people as well who have those similar kind of problems too.
Well, exactly. And it wasn't just like getting a question and then saying, well, I'm not going to answer that. Why don't you look online? I didn't do that. What I tried to do was address common questions and then share them with everyone. So, maybe like when I was teaching in Japan, a common thing is that the fillers are different. So a lot of my Japanese students would, instead of saying or ah or huh or whatever we do, they would say etto, and it's a little thing, but why not say that in English? So something like that I would make into a video and then just share with everybody. Yeah.
Great. Now just a question about when you were first getting started and posting these videos. How did you feel, being in front of the camera and putting yourself out there on a platform like YouTube?
That's a great question. Me personally, I've always loved to perform, and I like the attention. I like being out in front of a crowd. I love that. Now I love that, but I used to be very shy, and actually, even when I started making videos, I had that thought. I thought, oh man, anyone can see my face now, and they can, there's plenty of trolls on the internet, and they can make any kind of comments, and they sure do, and they will, and you got to be prepared for that. But I think over time, you just get used to it. I would say with the first few videos, I definitely was self-conscious, and looking back at those videos, I'm still self-conscious. But you get used to it. The more you make, it's just like anything else. I remember also when I started doing one-on-one lessons on Skype, which I don't do anymore, but I felt very self-conscious to be on Skype with the student. And it's really the same thing as being in a classroom or being one-on-one in person. I mean, more or less the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just face-to-face, but just having the different format made me really nervous because it was sort of uncharted territory at the time. But as with anything else, you just keep doing it and you get used to it.
Great. Um, and what strategy do you have at the moment for your YouTube channel? Are you like
Mhm.
building subscribers? Are you just trying to get it out there to as many people as possible? What are you trying
Right.
to do with that at the moment?
Well, I see YouTube as a platform that is kind of the top level of a funnel. And I do want people to come back to my website to check out my English courses. Since I've been making a lot of videos over the years, I've compiled those, not only the old videos, but I make a lot more videos and take some of them and create courses that are premium courses, and some of the videos are free, and they're a bit different length, different style. So I do want people from YouTube to come back to my website. So I see YouTube as a strategy for introducing myself to the world, and if they like me, then they could continue the conversation back at my website.
Right, right. So yeah, it's like yeah, I can see, visually picture it where your website's in the middle and YouTube is one of those channels that you're using to bring people back there. But also I imagine to build your brand and to get your face out there and to kind of like build some relationship too.
Absolutely. And to be honest, the more views or the more subscribers you have, that gives you a bit more clout and a bit more, oh, I
Like
don't know,
so,
what am I?
social proof.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Now let's move on to podcasting because you're huge in the podcasting world. I don't, you'll agree with that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. I don't know. Sure, yeah.
I mean, because you're one of my inspirations because I'm going to get into podcasting as well. Now you've worked on two different podcasts, or have
Yeah.
you worked on more than that before?
No, just two. I started about a year, I want to say a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half ago. Actually, more when you consider, just thinking about starting a podcast and planning it out. Let's just say, almost 2 years ago. I sat down with a friend of mine who was also an English teacher, and we said, well, we both are entrepreneurs and we both love technology. Why don't we start a podcast? So we sat down together and we learned how to do all the podcasting, the technology side of things. We looked into the strategy part of things, and we created a podcast called All Ears English, and we did that together for about a year, and it was very successful. I mean, lots of downloads, and part of that is because we were releasing an episode 4 times a week. So the frequency, of course, meant that there were more downloads than if perhaps we were releasing an episode once a month, right? But it's really successful, and that podcast is still going on. But I decided about 6 months ago just to go my own way. I wanted to start my own podcast that was linked with my own brand, Go Natural English, and that I could kind of build my brand just all together, the YouTube, the podcast, my website. So now I have that second podcast, and it's really neat because whatever you learn from podcasting, you can bring that, to what you do in the future. So yeah, podcasting is an awesome platform, just like YouTube is, for introducing yourself to the world out there. And there's so many people using YouTube and using iTunes or using maybe Stitcher Radio if they're using an Android device to listen. And I think podcasting is growing. I really think it's getting more and more popular. If you look at the number of people starting new podcasts, I mean, it's definitely growing.
And what is it like entering into the podcasting world? Is there a lot of things that you have to think about and do, and are there like technological barriers as well?
Well, before starting my own podcast, I didn't even listen to podcasts, which is kind of embarrassing to admit. But I had to, first of all, figure out what is a podcast? How do I listen to it? Why would other people want to listen to it? How can I get other people to listen to it? And then I realized that there are a lot of people out there who already listen to podcasts, and that's the kind of person who you want to listen to your podcast. It's a lot easier to get someone who's already into podcasts to listen to your podcast than to try to convert, let's say, someone who's always on YouTube to try to go listen to your podcast. Technically, it's actually, well, now that I know what I'm doing, I would say it's simple. But when I started, I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was so complicated. It seemed just like, we would try to get it going, and then something would, maybe the audio equipment wasn't quite right, or, we didn't know exactly how to set up the technical aspect, or, there's, gosh, you could make a checklist of 100 items of things that you need to do before getting started. But once you do it right, you do it once, it's going to seem simple if you ever wanted to make, multiple podcasts. So it's a tough thing to answer, because if you're familiar with podcasts, it might be easier than if you've never listened to a podcast before.
Sure. It's funny you say that, because I do see people who already have a podcast out there. They like to create a second one, a third one, and it just seems like they enjoy it so much, and they're benefiting from it as well, that creating a second and third one makes a lot of sense to them. So I guess, like, once you've gotten over that process of working things out, getting everything together, putting it out there and learning from that process, then you're going to want to do more and more of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now let's move on to courses, because you mentioned before that you want to bring people onto your site and into your courses. What courses do you have at the moment for English learners?
Yeah, so I have about 6 courses, and I am just about to release a new one. So it's very exciting for me to have these courses, because, it's just, it sounds funny, but I'm like, oh my gosh, people want to pay me for teaching English online because I love doing it. So it's like, wow, you can get paid to do something that you enjoy. Um, so I started making courses about 2 years ago, because I had built up a lot of videos, and by a lot, I mean maybe 100. And people were asking me for something more organized. And sorry, I should say about 100 videos on YouTube. And they wanted something more organized, maybe with more practice or more support materials. And so I took a look at the videos I had, and what was popular, what people were interested in, and I made a course with some of those videos, but also with adding some new videos. And actually used another site to host that as a kind of a content management site, I guess. That site is called Udemy, and a lot of people are using that now. And so I still have my first 5 courses on Udemy. And now I'm working on, I released my first course on my own website, and I went through a lot of kind of trial and error, trying to find the right plugins to use and how to manage that on my own, because when you use your own website, you have a lot more freedom, but you also have a lot more responsibility, right? To make sure that everything's set up right and that people can access the material. But yeah, now I have 1 course on my website, and I'm about to open a new one. And they're all video based, because that's kind of what I do. But if you have a course and you have a platform that's more podcast based, you could make it just audio, or there's a lot of different options. You could just make an ebook, or you could do all of the above. I think that's kind of what I'm going to be doing in the next course, is using a multimedia approach, because people learn in different ways and they like to consume material in different ways. But really, what I've done is just try to listen to the audience that I've built up on YouTube. Like I said, they told me, hey, can you make more videos on this topic, or can you make an organized course on this topic? And I just try to listen to them, because what I think is interesting, or what I want to make a course about, might not be the same. It might be, but you have to listen to your audience first and foremost.
Yeah, and that goes back to the reason you created videos in the first place, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's right.
And how has the process been for you creating a course on your own platform? Because, as you say, using a platform like Udemy, everything is there. You just need to upload the content, write the sales page, and obviously do a little bit more than that. But when you put it
Right.
on your own platform, you have to do everything.
Right. Well, initially, I would say, was it maybe a year ago, I had tried, no, more than a year ago. I think I got some plugin for, making a membership site, and then I couldn't figure out how to use it. And I tried to set it up, and I finally set it up, and I had a couple of courses going on my site about a year ago, but this plugin just did not work for me. I won't mention it because I think it's actually good. It could work for some people, but it didn't work for me. And so I scrapped that. I sent my audience back to Udemy. I said, I'm sorry it's not working on my website, but here's, take this course on Udemy. Here's your free entrance, because they'd already, paid on my website. But then I met you and I met our mastermind group, and you guys were so helpful with suggesting good software to use and a good plugin. And so with your help, I got started again on my own site. And the technical side is going smoothly, I would say, because I have the right setup. And it really depends on what you're using, your your theme or your hosting or whatever. I don't know. I'm an English teacher. I'm not an IT consultant. I'll just say that much. But the technical side is going well. I would say what's been the biggest challenge, but an enjoyable challenge, is just creating the content. Because what I do is I set my goal. I set, okay, I'm going to make a course with 50 lessons and actually pre-sell the course. And then, oh my gosh, I actually have to make those 50 lessons. And if you've never done that before, which I hadn't done exactly the same course that I had just planned. I planned it out, and then, wow, okay, I'm doing it. I'm making the lessons, I'm getting transcripts made, I'm writing summaries, I'm making practice materials. And 50 lessons is a lot of lessons once you get into the thick of it. It's like, oh boy. And you set a deadline, and then people are waiting for you to deliver. I set it at a new lesson every day until I hit 50. But it was enjoyable. I did it. I actually went over 50 because people were requesting, they wanted different, not different, but they had questions. And I said, sure, ask me questions. I'm happy to add materials as long as it's within a certain time frame where I'm still making the course. So it's not a walk in the park. It's not easy, but it's enjoyable if you like creating materials. And I find it really motivating to be working so closely with the students, having them ask me questions and being able to respond to that and incorporate that into the class. And it's really our own class that, we made together. I think it's so cool. So
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny what you said about, I'm an English teacher, but as an English teacher, you can still go out there and build a membership website on your own platform. I think it's, just incredible. It just shows how far this technology has come and how simple, but how simple it has become as well. For someone like you who has no background in coding, no background in, web design or anything like that, to build something and to actually, profit from it as well.
Exactly. And I do have colleagues who say, well, I wish I could do what you're doing, but I don't know anything about technology. And, if you feel that way, someone who's listening to this, I just want to say, I was at that same point several years ago. I've always liked using the internet. I like technology, but I didn't have, I wasn't into coding, or I didn't have really any background in building websites. But just start learning. I mean, the time is going to go by, and you're going to wish, a year from now, you're still going to wish that you knew more about technology. So just start learning. I mean, I love learning about technology now, and it just gets easier and easier.
Great. And what plans do you have for the future?
For the future, well, I'm continuing to work on Go Natural English. I have a great crowd or great audience of English learners, and it's growing, so I'm going to continue that. And I'm also looking to mentor new online teachers. It could be English teachers, it could be Spanish teachers, it could be physics teachers, but just people who, like me, come from a classroom background, but maybe you want something a little different, maybe a little more freedom, maybe a little more opportunity for income. maybe to help more people. Maybe you're more altruistic and you just want to reach a bigger audience. So I've started the laptop language teacher. So laptoplanguageteacher.com is where I'm putting some resources for people who want to learn about teaching online and building your own business online. And yeah, if you want to check that out, it's laptoplanguageteacher.com, and there's some information about getting started on YouTube, a free ebook you can download, and some interviews with different people who have been teaching online. Just what I'm trying to do is build up resources so that we can kind of learn from each other, which is, I think, what you're doing too, Jack.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where can people find you in addition to that website? Are you active on certain social media sites?
Yeah, well, I have pages on Facebook, so you can find Go Natural English on Facebook. You can find Laptop Language Teacher on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter, but I would say as far as social media, I'm most active on Facebook. And of course, YouTube. Gosh, come find me on YouTube if you search for Go Natural English. Also, I have a channel for Laptop Language Teacher, just kind of starting out, but I'd love if people came and checked out the interviews that I'm doing with different online teacher entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'll link to that channel
Great.
below this video. So, Gabby, thank you so much for your time today. It's been very useful. I've really enjoyed, getting to know you a little bit more in terms of your background and how you got into things. And yeah, just once again, thank you for taking your time to share everything with us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Jack.
Yeah, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Bye
Bye-bye.
for now.